Good morning. We want to welcome all of you that are joining us via Zoom for our Friends of First Responders breakfast meeting this morning. Hopefully you received a packet from us, and if you didn't get this yet, we will get that to you later. But we just thank you for joining us, and we hope that this morning we're able to share with you our vision and some of the difficulties that first responders face and how we can help them. So first of all, we just want to say good morning to Police Chief Paul Ferreira. He had planned to be with us, but he has an appointment this morning, so he was not able to be here. But he's been a strong supporter of us, our chaplaincy program, and different things that we do for peer support. And we so appreciate him. One of the things that I like to say about him is every commander's meeting that they have, he always ends it saying, please thank the guys that are out there on patrol working. So we thank him for his support. But this morning, we do have Fire Chief Kazuo Todd with us on Zoom. And so we'd like to welcome him this morning. Chief Todd.
Hi, how's everyone doing today?
Good, how are you?
I can't be better. So life is going well.
Well, it's great to have you with us. And, we appreciate your support. And I know every time I've gone in and met with you, there's always been an open door. And you've always been, a very strong supporter of the peer support groups and programs. And, but we just like to ask you one question. And that would be, how do you think we can better help your department?
Oh, nice to be on the spot first thing in the morning. Definitely, and we've kind of had these conversations in the past.
Yes.
Mental health and really looking at the holistic picture of the life and the mental status of our personnel is a big thing going into the future that we haven't really thought about in the past. It was man up, tough it out, and we've seen a decline in basically good outcomes in terms of long life and healthiness that happens oftentimes with the latter half of career or after retirement, where guys are having a hard time dealing with the things they saw. So definitely, we've had these conversations aside from like a chaplaincy program or CISM or things like that, looking to reach out and really bridge the gap between our responders and their general well-being. And definitely that's an area that we definitely are looking at to try and make our guys not only make it to the end of their career and retire, but go off to live continuously progressive and part of the community lifestyle and giving back. So and I can see former Chief Daryl Oliveira also there, who's is still out there being part of the community and giving, and definitely something that we're trying to achieve with all of our personnel.
Well, thank you very much, Chief, and I'm sure you agree with me that the greatest resource that the department has is the human resources. Lots of times a lot of money and things are spent on equipment, but the greatest resource there is our humans. So we thank you. Thank you for being with us, and thank you for your support.
Yeah, thank you.
All right. So at this time, I'd like to introduce Detective Karina McClellan and Detective Scott Dewey, who are with our peer units in the police department. And I'm going to start with Detective Dewey, who is our current coordinator of our peer unit. We're in many meetings together, and it's been a blessing. It's a blessing to have him here. And maybe you can just share a little bit about us, with us, about maybe how long you've been with the department, different roles that you've served in.
I'll take this off.
You can take that off. Yeah.
That way everybody can understand what I'm saying. My name's Scott Dewey. I've been with the department for 16 years now. Spent almost a decade in patrol. I did community policing for a while. Currently assigned to the juvenile aid section.
And how long you been peer coordinator now?
Almost 2 years as coordinator. I've been with peer support almost 9 or 10 as a member, and then the coordinator just the last couple of years.
And could you share maybe briefly what the peer unit, what it is? Because I think a lot of the people that are on the breakfast don't really understand what a peer unit is, what it does.
Our peer support unit, by definition, is officers that receive a little bit of specialized training to help other officers dealing with critical incidents, which can be anything it's subjective. Everybody's critical incident line is in a different spot, but anything involving children, people known to the officer, like I always tell people, the Big Island is big, but the communities are
Yeah.
small. You're going to end up dealing with somebody you know. Incidents that are just going to affect, they're out of the norm, and they're going to affect somebody, you know,
Yeah.
possibly down the road, and sometimes for life. So we have a team of people. We have about 40 members right now that are trained to and willing to answer that call when it goes out. And if we do have an incident like that, we scramble the troops and we get a debriefing coordinated and try to catch all those officers, usually, hopefully within the first 72 hours after an incident happens, to do a debriefing where we get those people together and just talk about what happened.
Yeah.
Because if you can catch it early, people are way less likely to develop post-traumatic stress disorder down the road. And the military is kind of on that same board. I've seen it happen now doing this for a while. The quicker you can start dealing with it, the quicker you can start moving forward. And that's what we try to do. We just want people back in work. We want them
Yeah.
healthy. We want them healthy at home. We want them healthy at work. So that's our main objective.
Yeah. Thank you.
That's my, like, from the heart, that's what I'm trying to do.
Yeah,
So-
thank you. I want to introduce Detective Karina McClellan, and it's been a real pleasure to work with her many years. And I know during her time as coordinator, some of the roughest things the department went through. So tell us a little bit about yourself, Karina.
Okay.
And
I'm Detective Karina McClellan. I've been in law enforcement for a little over 22 years now, with this department for about 17. I work in the juvenile aid section, and I joined peer support because it was kind of a calling to me.
yeah,
And I think I joined somewhere around 2013. And then I began working on the steering committee with people like Scott
Yeah,
Dewey,
yeah.
some greats out there, you
yeah,
know.
yeah,
And at about 2020, I ended up stepping down.
yeah. But you're still part of the peer unit, just
I
not
am
on
still
the,
a member.
not on
I'm
the steering committee.
Correct.
Yeah.
I'm not on the steering committee at this time.
Yeah, and kind of once you get that in your blood, I mean, you can't unlearn it and undo it. I mean, you still, I think people that have been trained on the peer unit, have ever been a part of the peer unit, will continue to reach out to other officers, yeah, whenever there's a need in their own way. So what we'd like to talk about now is, you know, like maybe if you can share like maybe a time when you had a bad call and how it impacted you, how it impacted your family. I think it's worthwhile mentioning right now that Detective McClellan is also married to a police officer. So you have two first responders in that home. So maybe if you can just share with us maybe a call that you went on that you'd like to share, and how maybe that impacted you especially, and then.
Well, trying not to cause anybody secondary trauma.
Yeah.
I'm just going to be a
I
little
get-
bit
yeah,
vague, but
yeah,
it's not any one particular call. It's
Yeah.
a cumulative effect of
Yes. yeah,
dealing with traumatic situations, and it can be subjective, right?
yeah,
It can affect people in different ways. Someone could go on a call of a traffic accident and fall apart
Yeah.
because maybe it resonated with something in their past
Mm-hmm.
experiences. But over the course of time, being a law enforcement officer, when you repeatedly see traumatic situations or critical incidences, those things build up in your cup, so to
Yeah.
speak. And over the course of time, if you're not equipped or knowledgeable about mental health or really in connection with your own emotional well-being,
yeah,
those things build up to a point where you overflow. And it's really important to recognize those signs along the way and empty out the cup in an appropriate manner or situation, whether it be with therapy or with peer support, where
Yeah.
you're talking with someone who is on the same level with you, understands the work that you do, and you don't have to spend that much time explaining how a call might resonate with you or how a call might affect you. And then if you don't deal with those issues, whether it be through peer support, seeking your own therapist, or contacting an agency like EAP, if you don't deal with those issues, you eventually take them home. And then, of course, it affects the family life because, as we discussed before, if you don't deal with those things and you take it home, then everyone starts tiptoeing around you at home. And it affects your children, your spouse. In my situation, it's a little different because, of course, my spouse is a first responder as well. So we have had to have some sit downs and talk things through. And, you know, sometimes we recommend like, hey, maybe you should go and talk to a counselor, or maybe you should reach out to the chaplain about this situation. And we have.
Good. Thank you. Thank you very much. How about you, Detective Dewey? Can you think of, and I appreciate what you said, because sometimes you're hesitant to talk about a call. Some things are so upsetting that you don't even want people to hear about it. But you know, again, the first responder is at the scene. It has to deal with that, and it has to go home and remember that. So any particular call, or just anything that you want to share about how, you know, just being in this work as a police officer, how's that, you know, affected yourself? I know you're married with two boys, yeah?
Yeah.
So-
My wife's a teacher. I've got
Yeah.
2 little boys, 10 and 6. And I think like most officers and medics, fire, there's a line you don't cross talking about what you do. You
Yeah.
try to insulate your family from that.
Yeah.
And that's why the people you work with, you get so close to. And, you know, it's common knowledge, like police and fire and first responders joke around about stuff that would turn most people's stomach. But it's cathartic. It's how you deal with stuff. It's the only way you can deal with a lot of things without breaking down. And, you know, to be honest, there's been so many times I get into my car after a call and you just start crying, you know, or
Yeah.
punching the headliner. It's just you have to do something with all of those emotions and the stuff that you carry with you for 20, 25, 30-year career. And, you know, by the time officers get to that finish line, our mentor, Brandon Konanui, I quote him all the time. He used to call it stress fractures. It's just those little bends and breaks along the way that build up into this huge callus. And when something snaps, it's, you know, if you haven't dealt with it along the way, it's too much to handle. And so that's what we do. We just try to get it out there, get it on the table so it can be dealt with, worked with, talked about. You know, for me personally, my wife, she's super supportive of my career, but she told me from the get-go, you know, I want to be there for you. I want you to be able to know that you can talk to me, but I don't want to hear anything about puppies or children. And now I work in juvenile aid. And so, you know, most officers, I think, have a code word or a phrase. You get home from work and they're like, hey, how was work? And you're like, I'm home now. Or, you know, that's ours. If I say that, she knows not that, you know, that's okay. Everybody's home, everybody's safe. That's what matters. And that's what we're trying to do, is keep people's head in the game. Their butts in the seat, I like to say, at work. Like, you know, if you can deal with it in an hour or 2 hour long debriefing and be back in work and know that, okay, the process has started, they're way less likely to be calling sick for the next week or 3 weeks from now or a month from now when it hits them and they realize they haven't dealt with it. So I think just that knowledge, like you talked, when you first started talking about starting this whole thing, I got really excited because our hearts are in this. We do everything we can for our officers, and we're set by guidelines within our general orders as a department. We're there to help with work-related situations. But then we send these officers home to people who don't have training, don't know what to look for, don't know the signs, and don't know how to deal with it. And so if we can fill that gap, that
Yeah.
would be phenomenal.
Yeah, and I think that's an important point, is that a lot of the officers I talk to, they really don't want to go home and say too much.
Right.
And again, like, your wife, so, when it comes to puppies and children, you got to talk to somebody else, because
Right.
you have to talk. I think the important thing is that you have to talk to someone.
Mhm.
So maybe that's not your spouse, but to know that there's a peer unit, to know that there's chaplains, and to know that, and I think us in the starting of this organization is that when someone hits the point where they need more than that, we want to be able to help them a little bit more
Absolutely.
than we're able to help them now. And, without going into details about any, particular call, but, I think the people listening out there, read the newspaper, right? I used to always tell our church, when you see a story and you're upset and you're angry and you're worked up that this happened, think about the first responders. They're not just reading about it. They're actually on the scene with the raw emotion, and they have to handle, and they hear
there's been
it.
15 incidents between
Oh,
the
yes.
last one you
Oh,
heard about that
yes.
actually got in the paper.
Yes, yes, so many. And so, so this leads into our next question, because obviously you're exposed to, very, very difficult things on a regular basis. How are you hoping that maybe Friends of First Responders would be able to help you, help the peer units, help the families?
For me,
Yeah.
I think Scott said it perfectly, fill in the gaps.
Yeah.
Because of course, in many times when you respond as a peer member to a critical incident, or even something as simple as maybe someone has some marital issues that they need somebody to talk to about.
Yeah.
Often peer makes a big difference.
Yeah.
And I've had people say to me like, hey, if so-and-so didn't respond, I probably wouldn't be married right now. And,
Yeah.
and that's huge.
Yes.
If you can help a member in the department save their marriage,
Mhm.
and, departmental wise, of course, you're dealing with somebody who's probably going to be calling in sick or having
Yes.
issues, but the calls don't stop, right?
Yeah.
So you still have to respond, even though you have all this baggage. I think any additional help, varied help,
Mhm.
right? Because not every time a peer member would respond and then it turns into a positive outcome. Sometimes the person needs more.
Yes.
Sometimes the person needs more, and it could be because they've had so much happen over the course of their years of service,
Mhm.
or it could be one major incident. We
Yeah,
never know.
yeah.
It's subjective. But I think any organization out there that could help with providing a varied assistance,
Yeah.
whether it be getting them to a retreat,
Yes.
or providing additional training for peer members, or just educating family members of first responders, anything would be great.
Yeah. Thank you. So how about you? Anything to add to that, Scott?
I think just the knowledge that like we're doing what we can for our officers, but they're just a small piece of the whole picture. If
Mhm.
things aren't good at home, their mind's not going to be at work.
Yeah.
If they're distracted at work, it becomes a safety issue.
Yes. Yes.
I don't want to see anybody get hurt,
Yeah.
Because something's going on that we really easily could have reached out,
Yes.
and as peer support unit with the department, we're constrained to certain things. There's things we can do, there's things we can
Mhm.
not do. And there's, we have resources we can refer people to,
Yeah.
but having any additional resources
Yes. Yes.
and people here, like
Yeah.
close by in our community that care, that we can say, hey, these people, this is what they do. Give them a call, or is it
Yes.
okay if I have them call you?
Yeah.
That it would be huge. And especially just like I was saying, the families aren't trained for this. They're not
Yeah.
prepared to deal with something when it
Mhm.
happens. And like our officers are barely trained to deal with that stuff. Like
Yeah.
the emotional awareness, emotional health, mental health, it's become a lot more in the forefront, but it's not pushed.
Yeah.
And if you don't seek it out, you're not going to get that.
Mhm.
And so we try to reach out as peer people, like just, I have my feelers out,
Yes.
the people, they give me a heads up on stuff when things are going down. And I'm like, oh, okay, so at least we're aware of it. And I can say, hey, can you reach out to this person? We can do that internally, but externally, if we had that same ability, it
Yeah.
would be huge.
And some things you can't train for, yeah. Some things,
No.
no matter how
You
hard you
can't.
train, in the course of sitting in on many debriefings and hearing stories, I think, how do you can't be trained for that. You can't go home and shake that off. That's not something you can do. And I think that a couple of good points that you brought up is that we are looking at how we can help the marriages, the kids, the families, but also we're looking at making this career, making it so that these officers can go the distance. They can go all the way to retirement. They'll last in their careers. We hope that there'll be less absenteeism because they're able to talk about these things. And when we do debriefings, I feel like that's allowing them to just deal with the calls as they come instead of just allowing it to pile up and pile up and pile up. So we definitely hope that we're able to, get this organization up and running and be able to provide more help. I think that for what I see with the departments, there's been a real improvement in attitude, a greater awareness of the importance of mental health.
Yeah.
But there's restrictions, there's budget restraints, and this is where we're hoping that we can raise some money outside, because I know that there's a lot of other people in the community that really appreciate what you do. And in particular, I really think law enforcement has taken a big hit with the things that have come out on the media, things that have happened on the mainland. And, that has just produced a lot more stress. But I know that on the Big Island, we love our law enforcement. And we back our law enforcement. And I just want to say to the two of you that we appreciate so much what you do to keep our community safe and the sacrifices that you make. And for all police officers and family members out there, same thing. We do really appreciate the sacrifices that you make. So thank you for being with us.
Thank
And we're going to get ready now for the fire panel to come on, but we really appreciate you being here with us this morning. If you have any questions, you can put them in the chat box. I don't know if anybody has anything right now that they want to ask any of the police panel here right now, but you can put it in the chat box, or maybe I can't see everyone, but if you wave, I know Kat can see before we release them and welcome the fire panel. Got any questions, Kat? Coming in? No? Not yet? Okay, well, we'll be happy to get to them later. So thank you for being with us.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you.
thank you
Thank
so
you.
much.
What you're
Yeah,
doing.
Yeah.
thank you. Yeah. Okay, so we can let you off, and we'll get the fire panel here coming on. Captain Stacy Domingo, who's a coordinator for the peer unit in the fire department, as well as retired Deputy Chief Bobby Pereira is part of our board. And Captain Domingo has been working hard, I know, coordinating, and it's been a pleasure to work with her. It's a pleasure to work with people that have a genuine passion. You're not just doing this, but there's a genuine passion, and I see that in how you've been really working to move it forward. Worked with Bobby a number of years as well, and I know that your heart is there as well. That's why you're part of our board now, wanting to see that those firefighters, paramedics out there being exposed to critical incidents on a daily basis are receiving the help and the assistance and the care that they need and that they deserve. And I know that there's different stresses with fire than there is with police. And I know we've talked briefly earlier about what a peer unit is, but maybe you can address, Captain Domingo, is there any difference in the way maybe that the peer unit in the fire department, the makeup of it, or a difference in the way it functions as compared maybe to police?
I'll take off my mask.
Yeah.
So actually, we have been developing our peer unit over the course of my entire career, about 18 years. When I first got into the department, I knew there was what we call the CISM team, the Critical Incident Stress Management Team. And that was specifically designed to go out and manage whenever there was a critical incident. Over the years, in my time in the department, I've seen this team kind of morph, and we're starting to kind of follow the lead of police and create more of a peer model where we are not only just addressing the critical incidents, but we're creating a team of well-trained communicators
Yes, yeah.
and good listeners so that
Exactly.
they're identified in our department as people that our personnel can go to talk stories about things that might not be a specific critical incident, but where they could maybe lean on them for some more
Yeah.
support.
And pretty much our peer units, we have people from every district, so the entire island is covered.
Mhm.
We want to remember our 911 dispatchers who are very, very frontline and part of definitely our first responders. They take the call first. And so we include them. But also, I did forget to introduce you. So can you tell us a little bit about yourself? I think you're one of the first women captains or in fire. Yeah.
I'm Stacy Domingo. I've been in the department for coming up on 18 years now. Started off as a firefighter and then became a paramedic, worked some time in Hilo, Kona, and then came back to Hilo. And then about 3 years ago, got promoted into an administrative position where I work in the EMS branch and support EMS operations. And during that time, that's when I really had the opportunity to take a little bit more leadership and steer this program to be a little bit more progressive
Yes.
and to be a little bit more forward moving, I think.
Yeah, and I think it's worth mentioning that it's a lot of work, especially
is.
when I know, and when an incident happens and coordinating a debriefing is not a simple task. And I know that all of the peer unit members do that in addition to their other responsibilities, and it's not a paid position, and so it really comes from the heart. And I know it involves a lot of extra work, so we really appreciate all
Thank
your
you.
hard work. So Bobby, tell us a little bit about your career. I know you had a very long career with the fire department, served. I know you did K9, and I saw an article about that, but just tell us a little bit about your
So
your
I'm Bobby
life.
Pereira, retired deputy fire chief. I retired in 2021. I started my career as a firefighter recruit in 1995 and worked my way up to becoming a fire inspector, fire captain, and that's where I was able to obtain RCN K9 that helped us to determine origin and cause of fires. And then I was promoted to a battalion chief of the Fire Prevention Bureau, and later promoted to assistant fire chief of support services, and then deputy fire chief. And I guess during the time as leadership in the department, I really got to see the men and women of our department, and a lot of times it's when they're hurting.
Yeah.
And so, as a leader, we got to understand that our greatest asset is our workers, our
yeah.
employees. And so supporting the CISM team and supporting our employees is very important. And I think by me being a part of this board, it just helps me to continue to support them,
Mhm.
knowing the things that I dealt with, knowing the things that my friends and my colleagues dealt with. And so, we have to, as a board, we're looking at ways that we can support this team. And as a leader, I saw that we needed much more than
Yeah,
what we give.
Yeah.
And a lot of that has to do with financially. We're gonna have to
Yeah.
bring in
We need to, yeah.
funding so that we can help support with training, with retreats,
Yeah.
helping support the family.
Yeah.
And it's just not only just the employee. And so that's why we're here.
Yeah.
That's why I'm here.
Definitely why we're here this morning. So thank you very much. So I also want to share. Next question would be, share with us a bad call or whatever you want to share and how it affected you and your family. But I want to preface that to say she has 5 children, right? Married to a police officer, 1 set of twins. I mean, I feel traumatized already, so I'm always in awe. I'm always telling her, Stacey, I don't know how you do it. We have a set of twins at home and we barely just survived that. And I wasn't a first responder, so I'm sure that, all of this, juggling, but maybe if you can just share with us whatever you would like to share about either a bad call or just how it's affected you, your family, and the impact that it has.
I think our family is very unique because we do
Yes.
have 5 children and my husband is a police officer. And so and he's also on the peer support team
Yes.
for police. So that my kids have seen us what we call activated, where we
Yeah.
will go out and do peer support for our coworkers. And so my kids are really in tune with the needs of our personnel and with the needs of our peers and our coworkers. So as far as how it affects the family, I think our kids have kind of identified that this is just part of the job. But what
Yeah.
I like about it is that my kids have seen that the support is part of the job,
Mhm.
that we don't just go to calls and we don't deal with negative public opinion, or we don't deal with traumatic experiences, but we also have internally a team that supports
Mhm.
our own peers. So I think that's been a healthy thing for my children to see. I think that over time in the department, and I don't know if it's because I'm a woman or if it's just been the progression of the department, but I've seen that our department has become more open to addressing and
Yeah.
prioritizing mental
Mhm.
health
Mhm.
in our department. And I can say that the reason I joined the peer support team was because I had a string of traumatic calls. And it was at that point where I felt like, I don't know if I can do this anymore.
Yeah.
I don't know if I can continue to take on this burden. And I was able to reach out to my supervisor, which was Chief Uchida at the time, and say, hey, I think I'm done. I think I'm spent.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
he was able to whip into shape this
Hold
peer
on,
support
hold
team.
on, wait, I'll be there.
And so, so I feel like for me, that was an indicator right there for the peer support team, and
Yeah.
that when you have these experiences, it's awesome to be able to take those experiences and use them to be supportive to somebody else in the future. I think that, as Karina is saying earlier, it's not about the worst call or the most gruesome call. It's just, it could just be something simple. And for me, it was, it was just a refusal that I did for a girl that didn't need the ambulance. But when we got there, she had opened up about all the stuff that she was going through, and that weighed heavy on me. And that was when I realized, like, wow, this job really truly impacts. And it's not about just the one time, oh, we did a debriefing, we're good. But
Yeah.
you have to maintain your mental well-being just like you maintain your physical well-being. It's got to be constant, where we're constantly working on staying mentally healthy.
Yeah, and I think it's important to note that, like you said, you probably were, and I've talked to lots of people, yeah, that they're at the point of quitting, but you're also very ambitious people. You wouldn't survive training to get in. So you're very ambitious people, you're driven people. And when you've worked that long in a career and you've gained all these benefits and all of these things, it's not that easy to walk away from. And we certainly want to make sure that those people, they have years of experience, they have so much still to contribute, are able to stay in that career. And without somebody reaching out, I think at a critical time, who knows? And then, we're talking about the marriages as well, saving
Mhm.
marriages and helping people. So thank you. And so Bobby, I know I've heard you share, some of the things, and being very open and vulnerable about, things that you've gone through and, how in the course of your career, it's impacted you personally. And, you know, when something impacts us personally, really, it's going to impact our families, you know. And a lot of times I talk to first responders and say, no, I don't take it home. But, you know, if you take yourself home, you're bringing it home. You are bringing it home with yourself, right? So whatever you want to share about maybe how that's, you know, in the course of your career, dealing with all of these, you know, kind of really tragedies and how it has impacted you and your family.
So for me, I think like Karina was saying and Stacy, it's not one incident, you know, it's a compound of incidents. But for me, it was always things that really hit me was kids.
Yeah.
When I saw kids traumatically hurt or possibly abused, or you see the neglect, that really hurt me. I had we have 6 children, myself and my wife. And, you know, sometimes they're the same age as one of your child.
Oh, yeah.
And something happens and you just go home and you hug them tighter
Yeah.
and you protect them more. You don't let them do things that they want to do
Yeah.
because you don't want them
Keep
to
them safe.
get hurt, you know, and you shelter them.
Mhm.
But, you know, seeing those types of incidents was always hard for me. But I think the biggest one for me was our line of duty death
Yeah.
and dealing with the
That's-
traumatic
We lost some good people.
trauma to
We
our
lost some good
personnel.
people. Yeah.
You know, not only his family, but
Yeah.
our family.
Yeah.
And that hurt. And
Yeah.
it was hard. And we had to be there for each other.
Yeah.
And I think we still have to be there for each
Yeah.
other because it's not
Yeah. It's
a lot
not
of-
over.
It's not over.
Yeah.
And so, you know, being part of this board is to continue to support our brothers and sisters, police and fire, you know, and any other first responders.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that was probably the hardest thing for me, being the acting fire chief and having to, or the deputy fire chief at the time. Chief Rosario was still with us,
Yeah.
but dealing with
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
incident
Yeah.
and going to the hospital and
Yeah. With the families.
being there for the families and then
Yeah.
assigning people to support the family, knowing that
Yeah.
this is
It
going to
was
be on a rough road.
Yeah.
You know, I'm just thankful. I'm thankful for our peer team. I'm thankful for our department men and women that just come and support each other. And, you know, that's what it's about. We're a
Yeah.
family. And so now we can create a team that's going to help support our family. So it's great.
Yeah. Thank you. So Stacy, let me ask you, how are you hoping that Friends of First Responders can come alongside and better assist?
I think that the one thing that we've noticed is that we only have so much capacity as the peer support team.
Yes.
And, you know, we cannot do what some people need with the training that we have. And so for me, it's important that we not only get the ball rolling in helping people start on their path to wellness, but we also give them resources to continue on that path. And so for me, having more resources to refer our personnel to is huge.
Yeah.
Because it's better than saying, sorry, I can't help you anymore because I don't have the training. So, you know, this is go find a therapist. Like,
Right,
you know
yeah,
what I mean? Like we
wanna-
want to be able to meet the needs of our entire pool of people, like 350
Yes.
people, and all 350 people are not going to be in the same cookie cutter of what kind of support they could benefit from. So the more resources we have, then the better for them.
Yeah, and I think it's important also to note that by the time a first responder is burnt out, I mean, they're burnt out, and we don't want to make them jump through hoops, and we want to be
Right.
able to take them by the hand and just take them to the help and get that. And so that's what we're hoping to do. But we want to thank you both for being with us on the panel, and thank you also for your years of service, Bobby, and your continued service. We want to just thank you, all the firefighters, all the paramedics, my son-in-law, Keone, out there. We want to thank all of you for your service and all the 911 dispatchers as well. So thank you very much. And
you.
you got to stay here, but I think
I'll
Lance
swap
is
out.
going to come in this seat, and I want to make a quick announcement too while he's getting here. We want to thank Nancy Cabral and Dalum Properties for donating 60 tickets to the rodeo that's happening tomorrow and Sunday. So 2 tickets per person that is attending. So if you'd like us to get these tickets to you that she donated, thank you again. Please put that in the chat box and where we can drop it off to you and we'd get that to you. But we do thank her for her donation for that. Also, we do have a Facebook page, so we do want to let you know that. And so we're just waiting for Lance will be on in a minute. And okay, we have a question. Great.
Oh, somebody asked, it seems that peer support or intervention before the first responders reaches a breaking point. Like, how can we help do that? Maybe reiterate what the board is or this group is about, like what our mission is.
Okay, we're gonna go into that really in length at this in this portion. So the peer unit is really the one that gets in there and responds immediately. You know, and the nice thing about the Friends of First Responders is that, like, I'm a current member, you know, I've been a member of the peer unit for both police and fire. So, you know, having that, I think, right there in the board, you know, we have access to that information. But so because we're hearing about incidents as they happen all the time, we are able to respond quickly. We are hoping to really get our name out. You know, this is just the first thing that we're doing now. We're doing other things so that first responders themselves or their family members, because oftentimes first responders are tough people, aren't they? Tough people. So they're tough people. So they go through the worst thing and I say, so how are you? And you say,
I'm okay.
right. How are you? How you doing?
Good to go.
Good, good, right? Now talk to the wife. And she'll be like, oh, he's not good. So we're hoping to as well to develop relationship with the spouses that can say to or call and say, man, I'm concerned, you know, and that we be there on the front line. So thank you for that question. I hope that answered it well. And then I think we're sharing now. We'd like to share a little. Oh, do we have another
We have
question?
just a-
one more. Okay.
Mahalo from Charlene Iboshi saying mahalo to
Oh.
our law enforcement and fire department.
Mahalo to Charlene. They are, you know, she's been a wonderful supporter along with David Dulu's, Art Taniguchi, and many others that came out for sign waving and helped, actually didn't just come out for it, but helped us coordinate it. And we're looking forward to doing that again during Police and EMS Week this
And
year.
then
One more?
another question is, will training be available for members of Friends of First Response?
I'm not sure I understand exactly what that means. Like if
Training for the,
our board, you
board.
mean? Oh, yeah. And I think most of us we have some training. We've already gone through some peer support training. I think the majority of our board have been peer support members. We have 1 or 2 that have not, but many of them have been through peer support training already. But we are looking at ongoing further training. That's part of it too. We'd like to have advanced training. So that's where we're trying to build connections with others, you know, retreat centers and different things out there we're in contact with right now. But anyway, want to welcome retired Deputy Chief Lance Uchida, who has become also a dear friend. And when he was retiring, I was like, no, I'm going to miss you. So I recruited him. So, but he was the first person actually that called me. And when the fire department, I was always reaching out to the fire department saying, you need chaplains, you need something. So finally they called me, I think it was about 6 years ago, maybe. And I was working with you really in the forming, but maybe just tell us a little bit about yourself and your career in fire. And
Sure. Good
Yeah.
morning, everybody.
yeah,
Lance Uchida. I've been with the fire department 26 years, retired back in 2020 already, 2 years ago
yeah,
already.
wow, went fast.
I was hired in 1994. I went through fire crew training like everybody else and spent some time in EMS as a paramedic in South Kohala, and Hilo. Left EMS for a bit for fire operations, fire captain, and back to the administrative bureau with EMS, and retired as a deputy fire chief.
Yeah. Well, it's great to have you. And so we just want to talk a little bit about how we got started. And really was, working as a chaplain, I always felt frustrated, like, like we want to do more, because I would be always caught, and really police and fire are very busy putting out fires and, trying to solve crimes. So it's not that they don't care about their personnel, but they're so busy with public safety that a lot of times, as you know, I would be calling you like, and they'd say, oh yeah, we gotta get to this. And then, then was a lava flow. Oh, well, so, things would get pushed to the back burner simply because of that. But, being a chaplain, being involved, I was always frustrated because I felt like we're moving too slow. We can't do enough. We don't have money. And so out of that, and also Justin Lee was always encouraging me, he's on our board. You should think about starting a nonprofit. So in April, I thought, well, let's see. So I think you were at that first meeting. I'm not sure if you were at the first meeting or if you came in after Bobby. Do you remember if you were there in April in our first? I'm not sure. I don't
Since
recall.
I retired, my memories are.
Yeah, yeah, really. But anyway, I got together a group of people that I said, okay, well, let's see. We'll get together a group of people that I know that share that passion, and let's see if are they, where it goes. Well, needless to say, everyone was very excited about it, and they said, let's do it. Then we formed a board, and here we are today. And so we're very passionate about, and I think that not only are we all very passionate, but we all have very strong connections with police and fire, especially. We're hoping to extend that out. Of course, our 911 dispatchers are an important part of that. So that's how we got started. And we are a nonprofit, and no one has a salary. We're all committed volunteers. We just are here to try to help first responders. I think there's a thing on our board. Those are our board members, Brandon and Kat Konanui. Brandon was also the peer coordinator for the police department for several years. My brother, who pastors Glad Tidings Church, been a strong supporter. David Miner, retired fire captain, also served as a police officer in the county of Hawaii for 5 years, has military background. Pastor Dion Maeda, thank you, Pastor Dion. We are using his church right now for this meeting. And Justin Lee, who's a firefighter out in Kona, is part of our board. And there you see Lance Uchida, Larkin Correa, who's married to a first responder, is on our board as well. Well, Bobby, and also Sherry Hines, who's kind of my right-hand person and a lover of first responders. So that's our board. And so we'd like to talk a little bit about maybe our goals, and we kind of talked about that. And Bobby, you had a great idea, I think a few months back, and you said, let's get the board of first responders to sit down with the peer unit people and see what they need. And I think out of that, we came out with a list of 4 recommendations that they had, which kind of determined our goals for this year and kind of also did our budget, formed our budget. I believe number 1 was to train command staff, or at least, I think it would be more like educate command staff on the peer unit, on what they do. And we're working on that now with both Police Chief Paul Ferreira and Fire Chief Kazuo Todd. And that's not really an expensive thing to do. That's something we can do probably at no cost. And then the second thing was to provide an emergency fund. And I think all of our hearts, one thing we'd like to be able to do, and we are in contact. I don't know if Nick Turkovich is on there in our Zoom, but I know he was going to be on this morning from the West Coast.
Yes.
He is. Good morning, Nick. So we've been in communication, and he's with First Responders Support Network, and they do a retreat that we have heard just wonderful things about the benefit of that retreat for first responders that have really been traumatized. And so we're in communication with them. But part of the emergency fund is to be able that when we have a firefighter, a police officer, and they are already like burnt out, we'd like to be able to send them on a retreat. And at those retreats, they have mental health experts, they have peer people, they have chaplains, and get some real, I think it's 5 days in depth. And so what we'd like to do in that emergency fund is be able to say, hey, we'll send you, we'll take care of your air. Because, by the time a first responder is burned, Lance, how much hoops do you think they can jump through to get to the help?
Yeah, definitely. I think Karina said it too, is
Yeah,
that's our goal, is to fill gaps, right? So the department heads and the county itself, they're limited as what they
Yes.
can do. And we want to be able to do more. And one of it is, being able to access like a treatment center,
Yeah.
or retreat, right? So we can preserve the longevity of our first responders. And the big question was always, right, first responders take care of the community in their time of need, but who takes care of the first responders? So
yeah.
I think being able to send someone to a retreat would be great.
Yeah. Anything you want to add to that, Bobby, about ways that maybe through that emergency fund for us to be able to really help out?
Well, I've seen firsthand something like this help someone already in the past. And so being able to come behind and support that, or support this need of mental health,
Mhm.
and just getting that person the help they need so they can get back on track, not only will save their career, but I believe strongly that it'll save their marriage,
Yeah,
save their children,
yeah,
which ultimately his career ends. 25 years,
yeah. And
I'm
then- yeah.
done, right? But
And you
my
hope your
family
marriage
is,
lasts longer.
yeah,
Yeah.
the family, the marriage, the family, that's long.
Yes, yes.
That's your lifetime.
Yeah.
And so, being able to support that and help that, that's where we really make a difference, I believe.
Mhm. Thanks. I can't remember what the third recommendation was, but I know the fourth one was, we wanted to do programs for the marriages, for the families. We'd like to do some fun days. I think one recommendation was that we would do a kids camp, on a
Yes.
break. And we would love to do one that's just totally focused on the whole theme. It's just for first responders. Something like that will take a lot of doing. And so, that's where we need the community support and resources. Someone might have access to facilities, someone might know well how to run something like that. But those are definite things that we are looking at to provide help to the families of first responders.
I think also it was to help support our peer support team with training
Yes,
and things that they
yes,
may need, because they're
yes,
the ones actively responding and meeting with the employees that are hurting and continuing that, to have conversations and help direct them in the right ways. And so just providing more training for them was also, I believe, something that
yeah, that was a good reminder because I think in our budget, we're hoping to raise $100,000 for this year. $30,000 was to be able to send maybe 4 to 6 peer support team members to a retreat to get further training, but also to audit it, to be there, to be able to come back and bring information. But we are talking with them as well as about bringing a retreat here. And so $30,000 was for that. $30,000 was for the emergency fund so that we can help right away. And $40,000 was for other programs that we hope to do. So with that, I'd like to turn it over to you, Lance, to share ways that people who are watching can help if they want to, they support and ways that they can help us.
Sure. And then to just add on what Bobby was saying, for the county to send the peer support team to a center, a retreat center, or somebody who needs to attend, it moves a little slower. We can move
Yeah,
faster.
yeah, much
And that's the whole
faster, yeah.
intent. And to be able to bring subject matter experts across the country here,
Yeah,
to train the peer support teams would be great. So anyway, on your slides, you'll see ways we can help. And first off, I say, thank you to all of you guys attending our kickoff breakfast today. You guys are invited because you guys are leaders in your
Yes.
organizations or, very influential people
yeah,
within your community. And we know you're busy, so really thank you for taking that time to attend today. But ways you can help, because of your influence and your connections within the community, if you can connect us with other groups or other organizations that can help our cause, and you guys have that networking capability. You can also help promote our fundraising event. I think our first major kickoff fundraising event is happening April 2nd. We're doing a 2-man golf scramble benefit tournament. You can see the slide up there. It's a shotgun start. Applications and registration will be going out shortly. Or you can click on the QR code for the techie people out there, and it can show you how you can get the registration form. You know, also you can help donate prizes for events such as this that can help kick off our event as well. So, and of course, everything takes money. Whatever financial contributions or opportunities that you guys have that can help our organization, that be definitely needed. Yeah. And then of course, sharing of any grant opportunities. We're looking at that, how we can be sustainable. And we know there is, you know, there are opportunities out there for grant funding. So some of you folks out there, you guys already have that networking capability, and we're hoping that, you know, you can help us with that.
Thank you. You want to share a little bit about the golf scramble, Bobby? You're the golf professional here that knows all about that, you know.
No golf professional. Love the game. But yes, our first annual Friends of First Responders golf fundraiser will be taking place at the Waikoloa Kings and Beach Course. It'll be April 2nd, like Lance was saying, on 9 a.m. shotgun start. There is an early bird special, so if you get your applications in by March 16th, it's only $200 per team, 2-player teams. And if it's after the 16th, then it's a $250 fee. So please tell your friends, tell your colleagues about it. Get some teams signed up. We're gonna have a lot of fun out there that day. There'll be prizes. There'll be contests out on the course, and obviously there'll be bragging rights for police and firemen. So we're all about that.
Yeah.
So you know, it's gonna be a fun day. It's gonna be a good way to network, but also a good way to support our board, which is supporting our first responders. So any questions, you guys can reach me. My number's on there. But like we said earlier, you can scan that QR code. You guys all should be receiving packets if you haven't already. That flyer is in the packet. And so we'd ask you to put it up at your place of business and direct people to help support our cause. Thank you.
Yes, and we'd like to let you know how you can donate as we wind down. We know you're all very busy people coming up on 10 already, but if we can get that slide up, if you'd like to donate, we do have a PayPal account. If you can put the PayPal account up, 100% of your donation will go. You can either, if you're making a check, you can make it payable to Friends of First Responders. And you should have all of this in your packet. To make a donation through PayPal, you put in our email, ffrbi808@gmail.com. And if we can get the QR code for you techie people, if you just want to put your camera up there, take a picture of that, and you can donate that way. Well, we want to thank you all for being with us, and we're going to stay on a little longer for those who have questions. If you don't and you need to get about your day, thank you very much. We know that you're very busy people, and we thank you for this hour of time that you've given to us to share our mission and our goals and our hopes. But do we have any questions, Kat? Right
Actually,
now?
Rebecca just wanted to say a huge mahalo to fire and police for your swift and courageous actions extinguishing the brush fire in Kona this
Oh,
week
yeah.
and managing the traffic challenges that entailed. You kept our community safe and mitigated more serious damage. I'm so deeply grateful. Mahalo. That was from Rebecca. John wanted to say thank you for this valuable discussion. Loved ones closest to first responders experience the subtle emotional changes indicative of the onset of mental health challenges. So he says, first responders rarely take off their uniform with fellow workers. Can you explain what outreach is in place for family members to ask questions and seek advice confidentially for the family members?
Yeah, I don't know that we have anything like a program, but I mean, I give out my cards so much, you know. I mean, my cards, I'm like, call me. So my number is 896-6670, and they can call. And we're trying to, find out more resources. We do know some resources that are available. So we do want to start some things. And in fact, Kat, maybe, I don't know if you want to add anything to that, but I know in particular that yours and Brandon's heart has really been towards doing things with the marriages.
Yes, we actually want to do a more marriage conference. We're
Yeah.
also trying to dream up a family fun day with fire and
Yes.
police for the whole family. Like I would want to do like a kickball tournament or a
Yeah.
pickleball tournament,
Yeah.
and we're going to have food booths. That's my dream. These
Yeah,
are things
yeah.
that we're trying to dream, but like we said, everything takes money. But these
Yeah.
are things that we've been discussing and trying to plan. And then we have informational booths for families, books for children that
Yes.
are, children of first responders.
Yeah.
There's books out there specifically geared towards children that can speak to them in their language, in a simpler form that will
Yes.
help them. There's peer pressures, there's other things, schedules, having to deal with, daddy or mommy sleeping when it's
Yeah.
daytime, things
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah.
So there's so many things that we are dreaming up as a committee that we're trying to plan. So thank you guys for attending.
And
There's a
whenever-
lot of mahalos here from Keldon Walchin
Yes, thank you.
and everybody, Lee Lord. Everybody's really
you.
thankful for
Thank you,
doing
all of you,
this.
for responding. And I think we have responded immediately. Like now when we get a call, we've gotten calls and they said, oh, the marriage. And right away, I'll call the Konanuis. We also have in the peer unit, married couples that say, we'll talk. In fact, the last time we got a call, I think they got 3 couples contacted them to help them. So, but we like to put in place like maybe more formal things. We hope people will get on our Facebook page. If you're on Facebook, we are working on getting a website up. We want to make ourselves very easy to get a hold of. But we are on the ground as well. We are in the peer unit. So we're hearing about things as they happen as well. But we want to just mahalo everyone. Mahalo Rebecca. She's a council member, I think on the other side of the island, was one of the first to respond to my email. Thank you for your kind words and all of you that are on this. I know the mayor did want to be with us this morning. But Lee Lord, I mean, God bless you. We're grateful to have you on with us. Anything else? Any other
Nick
questions?
wants to let everybody know that if they want more information on the organization, that they can contact him as well.
This is
Nick.
Nick. Oh, Nick. Yeah, Nick Turkovich with First Responders Support Network. Are we able to get Nick on? Are you able to get him on so you can say a few words? Nick, aloha from Hawaii, Nick. Good to have you with us this morning.
I wish I was over there,
Yeah, I bet you do.
but it's like 75 degrees here in California.
not
so
bad.
It's not so bad.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, hey, thanks for having me sit in. I'm really excited to see so many people.
Yes. Yeah.
At a first time meeting. And I know we were talking about how our organization can support you guys. We can help train your teams.
Yeah.
We can have your folks come out and see the retreats that we
Yes.
do. We run week-long retreats for first responders around the country. We do about 35 of them a year, most of them here in California. And that's obviously we would rather your folks over there on the island be able to prevent ever having to send any of your people to our retreats.
Yes. Yes.
But we've seen a few folks from the islands
Mhm.
have already attended our retreats as clients, and I hear they're doing well. So
Yes, that's what I hear.
good. Yeah. So I just wanted to say that if in any ways that our organization can help you guys, we would love to do that with our goal. Obviously, in treating first responders around the world now, our goal is to prevent the horrible stories that we hear about
Yeah.
suicides and families falling apart.
Yes.
So anything that we can do to help support you, and I know that we'll probably be chatting after this.
Oh,
But if
we will.
anybody had any questions about what we do or questions about how we may be able to support you, I set my schedule today just to kind of hang out with you guys.
Yeah,
So if you
yeah,
have any
good.
questions, don't hesitate to ask.
Okay, and we'll be in touch. You know that. I've been in contact with you already, so we'll be in touch. Any more questions, Kat?
Just I guess if people want to volunteer for events or sign up for events, they can just contact you then?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think all of it. And if you didn't receive a packet and would like to just put that in the chat box and we'll be running around and we'll get that to you. And we definitely want to, I think the biggest thing is we just want to connect with people. We want to network. We want to partner. I mean, we know that there are many, many other people out in our community that share our passion. And so all we're trying to do is let's bring all of you together, your resources, and let's do this. Yeah. Anything else? Okay, well, we just appreciate your time. We thank all of you for logging in with us. Thank you, Chief Todd, and thank you everyone else that was here. And then Chief Ferreira, I know he really wanted to be here this morning, and he does support us, but was unable to do so. But we thank you for logging on, and we look forward to being in communication with all of you. God bless you. Have a great day. Thank you.